I've been thinking, 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 thinking about you. 아무리 고개 흔들어도 난 이 생각만 하고 있을 뿐. 아무리 딴짓해봐도 난 너의 목소리만 들릴 뿐. 있으면 here with me. 가득 심장이면 please tell me. 빨리 고백해볼까? 눈 감고 말해볼까? 미치겠어 only you. 이런 건 처음이야. 너무 설렘이 좀 나. I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about you, boy. Yeah. All I think about is you, boy. All I think about is yeah. All I think about is you, boy. All I think about is 내 맘 아는 사람 손들어 하여 우리 눈엔 완벽한 lover. 내 맘 아는 사람 손들어 하여 우리 눈엔 완벽한 lover. 다가가도 괜찮겠지? 다른 애들보다 내가 훨씬 단단하게 걸어가면 다들 속작 My confidence is shooting through the roof. 아무리 고개 흔들어도 난 이 생각만 하고 있을 뿐. 아무리 딴짓해봐도 난 너의 목소리만 들릴 뿐. 있으면 here with me. 가득 심장이면 please tell me. 빨리 고백해볼까? 눈 감고 말해볼까? 미치겠어 only you. 이런 건 처음이야. 너무 설렘이 좀 나. I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about you, boy. Yeah. All I think about is you, boy. All I think about is yeah. All I think about is you, boy. All I think about is 내 맘 아는 사람 손들어 하여 우리 눈엔 완벽한 lover. 내 맘 아는 사람 손들어 하여 우리 눈엔 완벽한 lover. Hey, boy, I can sleep at night. So 내가 한번 해봐 이리 와서. Hey, boy, I can sleep at night. So 내가 한번 해봐 이리 와서. I've been thinking, I've been thinking, I've been thinking, I've been thinking about you. I've been thinking, I've been thinking, I've been thinking, I've been thinking about you.
하루의 끝엔 어둠마저 지고 그 길 위에 핀 다섯 번째의 계절 같은 자리에 반짝이던 별처럼 떠난 적 없는 널 이제야 알게 된 걸. 지나간 기억은 풍경으로 남아 바람길 따라 흩어진 너와 함께한 시간 다시 그때로 돌아가. 함께 할 수만 있다면 빛으로 물들어 우린 이제는 다시 내게 Here's my prayer. 있었던 긴 밤의 추억이 꽃을 피우던 날 잊혀지지 않는 하루하루의 흔적 지나간 기억은 풍경으로 남아 바람길 따라 흩어진 너와 함께한 시간 다시 그때로 돌아가 함께할 수만 있다면 빛으로 물들어 우린 이제는 다시 내게 Here's my prayer.
I like that nervous look on your face when you're starting to think that you're talking too much. I like how we just met and I'm not even slightly afraid to be opening up. I like that we've been sitting here, hands moving around the clock, and I still can't get enough. No, I can't get enough. You look in my eyes and I already hope this lasts. Trying hard not to jump, not to move too fast. But we could go all in. We could be in love by the end of the night. Sitting here talking, kissing your lips and I'm coming alive. Or we could start running, make a list of ways that the time just isn't right. Or we could go all in. Yeah, we could be in love by the end of the night. By the end of the night. I like the way you're holding me close, arms wrapped around my waist like you've done it all your life. I like the way it feels to have you running lap after lap all over my mind. Yeah, if the world ended today and I was sat right here by your side, that'd be alright. Yeah, that'd be alright. You look in my eyes and I already hope this lasts. Trying hard not to jump, not to move too fast. But we could go all in. We could be in love by the end of the night. Sitting here talking, kissing your lips and I'm coming alive. Or we could start running, make a list of ways that the time just isn't right. Or we could go all in. Yeah, we could be in love by the end of the night. By the end of the night. I like that nervous look on your face when you're starting to think that you're talking too much. I like how we just met and I'm not even slightly afraid to be opening up. I like that we've been sitting here, hands moving around the clock, and I still can't get enough. No, I can't get enough. But we could go all in. We could be in love by the end of the night. Sitting here talking, kissing your lips
be rich. 미친 발라, 겁 없는 drip. Yeah, baby, won't you stunt for them? They act like you can't fuck for them. All I got is money on my mind. Dedicated, steady on my grind. 내가 원한 삶으로 laser focus to my goals. All I got is money on my mind. I won't stop till everything is mine. 내가 원한 삶으로 갈 때까지 let's get this money. Euros, dollar bills, getting 내 손 안에. Let's get this money. 원예유엔 better know I'm on it. Let's get this money. 이끌 못해서 나 한꺼번에. Let's get this money. I don't care where you're from. Get your hustle up and flowing. 힘들 때도 있지만 가끔 지쳐갈 때 서로를 의지하며 Let me be your friend. 쉬어가도 괜찮아 내 어깨에 기대. 끝까지 가보는 거야. 포기만 안 하면 돼. Let's get this money. Euros, dollar bills, getting 내 손 안에. Let's get this money. 원예유엔 better know I'm on it. Let's get this money. 이끌 못해서 나 한꺼번에. Let's get this money. I don't care where you're from. Get your hustle up and flowing.
Christmas light 타지에 있는 어둠 속에 우리가 모두 원한 환한 빛을 밝혀줘. And I wanna say goodnight, sweet dreams. 밤하늘에서도 내린 눈 속에 깊이 스며든 너의 그 빛보다 더 따뜻한 건 없을 거야. 또 크리스마스 이브에 연인의 사랑이 숨쉬고 오지 않는 White Christmas 너로 달래지. Home on Christmas Day 온 가족이 모인 곳에서 There says what a beautiful Christmas tree. And says what a beautiful Christmas light. What a beautiful Christmas tree. And says, what a beautiful.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat, beat. I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat, beat. I gotta hit the beat. I gotta. I gotta. Pop that bottle, it's over. It's the end of October. Champagne on my shoulder. This is my exposure. Pop that bottle, it's over. It's the end of October. Champagne on my shoulder. This is my exposure. Pop that all night long, but the feeling keeps kicking in. Beef with all the girls, bullshit dripping off the chin. Pop that all night long, but the feeling keeps kicking in. Beef with all the girls, bullshit dripping off the chin. I gotta hit the beat, beat. I gotta hit the
You drop this. Yeah, yeah. Like they're bringing anything to the table. Bro, I'm not your son, see I'm able. I do my own bits. Limited edition on some missing classic shit. I know that you're feeling it. Feel mad, cold nights feel heavy. Same place, going in the heart of the city. Nitty gritty feels iffy and the eyes feel shifty. The shit we're in, yo, it's all mad risky.
all night long, but the feeling keeps kicking in. Beef with all the girls, bullshit dripping off the chin. All night long, but the feeling keeps kicking in. Beef with all the girls, bullshit dripping off the chin. I gotta hit the beat, beat. I gotta hit the beat, beat. I gotta hit the beat, beat. I gotta hit the
the subtle games that you are playing, and you don't even know I exist, but you have got me on your hit list. And you're conspiring, girl, you are sexual and bad, and now you got this on your conscience, because now I'm unresponsive. Shots through my chest as you watch me bleed. Every kick, drum, hit is a symphony. Every brush of your curves is the air I breathe. You speak, I am listening. Sweat rolls, girl, you're glistening. Slow-mo, pull me into the light, the light. There are people watching us, wishing they were obvious, instead of giving in to the fright, the fright. Run through the fire, I walk the wire. I would sell everything I own. I'd swim the ocean, dance with the devil. I'd sell my soul to take you home. One heart to survive when one just breaks. One slow suicide while one just takes and takes. One choice for the good of you, but not the one you make. But one worth dying for if you saw her shake, shake, shake. We can feel the flow underneath our feet. I am listening. We can feel the flow underneath our feet. You are glistening. We can feel the flow underneath our feet. I am listening. We can feel the flow.